Welcome back, everyone. How are we doing? Did we enjoy lunch? Who had Subway? Who went elsewhere? Macca's? Where else did we go? Cubans? Nice. Very, very nice indeed. Did everybody over lunch get a chance to connect with other people, to have a bit of a chat? Did anybody meet future business partners? Anybody meet anybody else interesting? In actual fact, that topic of connect is going to be really, really relevant in our next session. I know you're really going to enjoy not only what our next speaker's got to say, but also the energy with which he delivers it. But I guess in the spirit of connecting, I'm guessing you've had a bit of a chat to people around the table today, got to know some people, got a bit comfortable, yeah? I'm going to suggest, why don't we mix it up a bit? Why don't we meet a bunch of new people? So everybody, get your stuff together and stand up. In just a minute, what I'm going to ask is I'm going to ask you to find another table. Those people who've been hiding away at the back, I want you to come forward. And we're going to see if we can concentrate you into as small a number of tables as possible, because I want you to meet some new people, to make some new connections. Are you ready? Let's go. You've got to press the button. Right. Okay, well, let's see if we can get some new people to your table. Fleur, meet the guys. Grab a seat. Wonderful. Good stuff. When you get to the table, take a moment to introduce yourself. Tell the person next to you what you've got out of the day so far. What the most important thing you've learned. How you going, guys? There's some space at the table over here if you want. There's some space at the table over here on my left if you want to come down there. This table's looking good. You can come over here if you like. There you go, beautiful. There's some space down the front here if we need be. Bridget? Beautiful. Great stuff, guys. It's nothing like a bit of a switch of position to get the blood flowing. Okay. Has everybody introduced themselves? Said hi? Excellent. Okay. Everybody back to me. Who's enjoying the day so far? Put up your hand if you've learned a bit. Who's having fun? Who's still hungover from the morning? Okay, still a few of you. Good stuff. Guys, I'm really proud to call to the stage our next speaker, Mr. Paul Dunn. He's known as the Wizard of Wow, and over the course of the next 40 minutes, you're going to find out exactly why. Over the course of 30 years, working with literally thousands of businesses and entrepreneurs worldwide, he has become widely recognized as the expert when it comes into turning normal into abnormal or ordinary into extraordinary. He is an absolute marketing guru whose coaching programs have been used by over 200,000 people worldwide, and I'm not exaggerating those numbers. In addition, he's also the chairman of the quite revolutionary charitable organization Buy One, Give One. Who's heard of Buy One, Give One? A few people. It really is an amazing charity, a great idea, and it's a company that's already positively created over 26 million giving impacts around the world. He's also a senior fellow of the world's leading business, one of the world's leading business think tanks. And in 2012, he was honored to be made fellow of Singapore's Social Innovation Forum, which is an honor he shares with film star Jet Li, and the Walmart chairman, Rob Walton. So we're an esteemed company. Today, Paul is going to be talking about something that is becoming increasingly important for any aspiring entrepreneur who wants to build an enduring business, which is connecting with customers and wowing them into becoming your raving fans. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Paul Dunn.
By the way, the most difficult thing in an afternoon is to introduce the session. Can we just say thank you to Stuart? Well done, Stuart. Excellent. Very good. And actually, whilst we're in the mood of saying thank you for being here. I'm so glad you're here. And I don't know about you, but I'm really glad I'm here as well, because this is one of those conferences that I find is really well organized. And these guys don't get too much kind of kudos. So in no particular order, Stuart, Johan, all of the team back there from Corporate to Freedom, all of the speakers we've heard this morning, which were great. Let's just give them a huge round of applause. Well done, guys. Well done. Oh, look at that. Look at that. It's all up there already. I am very humbled to be with you this afternoon, and indeed very privileged to be with you. I spend my life working with a lot of startups, and as I said, I'm very privileged to be with you. Actually, at my age, I'm privileged to be anywhere, but particularly here. And here's why. I don't know whether you realize this, but there seriously is a revolution going on. Let me show you something about that revolution. Anybody know who this guy is? Anybody know? He's 25 years old. Anybody know? Nobody knows? Wow! That is David Karp. Who's David Karp? He's the founder of Tumblr, right? So 6 years ago, he finds this thing called Tumblr, and this lady who was the 20th employee at Google, as you know, this is Marissa Mayer. She just paid, as you probably know, 3 months ago, $1.1 billion for that 25-year-old's business, which, by the way, only had $12 million in revenue. How many people think, that's kind of cool? Exactly, and there are so many other examples of that which we're not going to get into, but it is a revolution, and because it's a revolution, what we need, I suspect, is courage. We need the kind of courage to get out and do stuff, and I also suspect that it actually is a new age. When we see things like that, when we hear the stuff that, for example, Kim was talking about this morning, it is, without question, a new age. And so, as we look at this new age, then there are some things that I'm sure we need. Those would be new tools and new insights. And over the next 40 minutes or so, my goal is to give you those. So at the end of all of this, you say, wow, that was really great. You up to that? You up for that? Yes is the right answer. Very good. Very good. So let's see where we're going to go, because we also need some new kind of gurus. If you don't know this guy, you should. Anybody know who this is? It is Seth Godin. You win a prize. Let me just see. May I just borrow this for a second? Thank you very much. You okay with that? Well done. Give him a big hand. That's an awesome prize. This is Seth Godin. And if you don't know Seth, do something. Someone this morning, who was it, said we should take action on stuff. Who was that? Was that Kim or Brenna? Was you? And we should take action. So take the action, make a note right now, get online, get his blog. Every day, I do not know how he does it, but every day there are the most insightful things in it. Like, for example, this. Now, there are too many words in that, so let me make it simple for you. He said about 8 weeks ago, he said we are in the connection economy. Not the experience economy, but the connection economy. And just so that you get that, that doesn't mean that we should have multiple Twitter accounts or anything like that. It means connection. Like, for example, I live and work in Singapore, and so every day, well, not every day, because I spend most of my time on planes, but many days I'm in what is called the MRT in Singapore. And Singapore has the highest in the world percentage of smartphone ownership. So in the MRT in the mornings, this is what it's like. And they all think that in some way they are connected. If that's true, how come they freak out when I turn to them and say, good morning? You know what I'm saying? And it's that kind of connection that Seth is talking about right here. Look at this. Please make a note of them. These are precious, precious resources. Was the stuff that Peter talked about precious? Was the stuff that Kim talked about precious? And so, absolutely precious. But these are other resources. Look at that. Who trusts you? By the way, one of the things I'm a stickler on is time. Because if I can't trust you for time, then what the hell can I trust you for? So just think about, we were supposed to be here at what time? 20 past. Who made it at 20 past and who? I know a lot of you did, but who didn't? Who wants to hear from you? Who will collaborate and support and engage with you? How about this one? Is my next action going to build trust or relationship or take from it? And this one is something I think we should have on the mirror. Am I earning trust or burning trust? So these are some crucial things that we need to get hold of as we go through. And then about 2 weeks after that, Seth hit another blog. This program proudly brought to you by Seth Godin. Take a look at this. He says, trust is the most important thing. Next is permission. We're not going to go into that right now. Let's talk about remarkability. That's this whole idea of wow or oh. Leadership, stories that spread. And take a look at this. Let me remind you, this is the world's #1 marketing guru, right there. When was it in any marketing program that you went to, Jam, when was it that you saw humanity? Does everybody get that? You just did not see that. And that's why I'm saying that there's a revolution. In fact, he breaks that further. He says it's all about connection, it's all about compassion, and it's all about humility. And these are the things now that are going to help us in terms of how we spread our idea. So what is it all about, just before we get into the insights? Yes, well, you might think, is it about you aspiring to be great? That's kind of like tick the box. I don't think it is about you aspiring to be aspiring. I think it's about you inspiring others to be great. Show me hands if that makes sense to you. Exactly, we're on the right path here. How about this one? It's not about great products or indeed great services. What it is about is people feeling great about your products and about your service. Again, show me your hands if that is on track for you. Yes, it is. Very, very good. And it's not about you doing more stuff. It's really not. What it is about is doing stuff that matters. That's what it's about. And it goes even further than that. It's not profits first. Sadly, it's not. It's not profit first. We're going to do a really interesting exercise this afternoon which shows you that. So if it's not profits first, what the hell is it first? Answer, purpose. Didn't you love what Kim had to say about authenticity? Didn't you love that? It's just where it's at. So it's purpose first. And it's not about communication. It's not about, wow, you know, we need more communication. We need all of that kind of stuff. I think we need less of that. And what we need is more of this, more connection. Now, just to prove that that's true, here's what I want you to do. Really quickly, just follow the instructions here. Now, very quickly, turn to the person next to you and smile at them. Look them in the eye. Look them in the eye. When I do this in the United Kingdom, they leave the room. So go ahead. So look them in the eye and smile at them like as if you're really thrilled. Stay on that look. That's really good. Stay on the look. Look them in the eyes. Smile at them. Now, here comes the tough part. Keep looking at them. When I say go, but only when I say go, I want you, only when I say go, to give them a big high five. Not yet, not yet. And then when you give them the high five, say to them, I am thrilled I'm sitting next to you. Go for it. I am thrilled I'm sitting next to you. Whoa, give yourselves a big round of applause. Well done. And one of the things that we're going to be working on today, Stuart kindly said it's about wow. Actually, I think it's about something different than that now. I think it's about what I call oh, not wow. But anyway, more about that perhaps later. But what it is about is moments of connection. That's what it's about. Let me show you an example of that. How many of us have like an iPad or an iPhone? Can I see that? Okay, let's go for iPhone. It doesn't matter, iPhone or iPads. Just go back to the first time you got your iPad and your iPhone. Just go back to that. And you've got the box, and you're opening the box. How many of us, before we even touch the product, are going, oh, wow, this is cool? Show me your hands if you're doing that. Exactly. And so what's happening, we're all weird, right? So what's happening is that's a moment of connection. And Apple and others do that really, really well. And part of that moment of connection is to understand why. A couple of people have mentioned that already this morning. But what's really interesting for me is why the hell do we do that which we do? Because the reality is, unless we understand that, then, well, put it perhaps another way, more positively. Once we understand that, then what happens is it underpins a truly successful business for us, as we will see as we go through. And since it is about why, then maybe I should tell you my why. That's my why. Every time around the world I do that, the only reason I think to give a speech is to change the world. And there's no doubt in my mind that that's going to happen today, because as we connect one-on-one, then we're all going to have a kind of an interesting shift. And then as a result of that shift, we're going to go out and inspire others, and as a result, ripple in the pond, bang, the world changes. Does that make some sense to you? It really does. Very, very good. So that's where we're heading. But the interesting question is, what is your why? Let me show you, so I mentioned this revolution. Some of you may know that there's this, and a lot of people say, you know, Paul, you're at the forefront of it, and all that kind of stuff, which is very nice. I'm not sure that that's true, though, because I think there are others, people like John Mackey and so on. Here's the revolution. It's not called capitalism. What it is called is conscious capitalism. And what conscious capitalism really gets, it really, really gets, it gets this. Businesses have the power to change lives. And we're not talking about your life or the life of your team members. We're talking about the life of people that you may not even know. Does that make sense? Now, you could nod at that and say, okay, Paul, I get it. I've made a note of that. Businesses have the power to change lives. I've made a note of that. But here's the crucial bit. It's not businesses. It's that your dream business. That's what we really need to get. That your dream business, the one that as a result of our time together today, that you're going to build and build and build and scale, so on. That's the thing that has the power to change lives. So how do we do that? Well, one of the things that I normally do, by the way, this afternoon is kind of challenging. It's like, how do I fit 4 hours into 40 minutes? So I'm going to go pretty quick. You okay with that? Yes, yes, yes. And by the way, I'm going to get you to do some interesting things too. Well, what we're going to be doing under normal circumstances in terms of power, what we'd be doing is switching on, really switching on, 3 crucial switches in your business. Let me just identify the switches. One of them is called speed. The fact is that it's not about business plans anymore. It's about the first sentence in the business plan. It's about purpose, and it's about changing lives. So we're certainly going to switch on that to some degree today. We're going to switch on that one big time. And maybe some of you might like to join me later. I've got something going on where we can talk about that in a little more depth. So let's go with this purpose thing for a minute. Oh, before we go, a friend of mine years ago, before in the year 2000, I sold all of my businesses and went to live in France and all that kind of stuff. A friend of mine, and you can find this up on YouTube, he used to say, his name is Wally, and it's the only time I've ever canceled a seminar in my life, because I sadly said to Wally, Wally said, Paul, when I die, will you do my funeral? And I said, well, I said yes, and it was Wally that coined this. He said, Paul, what you've got to understand in business is that there is this disease. It's called FTI disease. And he said, it's a fatal, fatal disease. And so people say, okay, Wally, what's the disease? Here's the disease. It's called, here we go, hopefully you can see it in a minute. There you go. Failure to implement. In other words, we get all these good ideas, these good ideas, these good ideas, but because we don't implement them, there was no point having the idea. Does that make some sense to you? Another friend of mine, his name is Michael Sheargold, puts it this way. You might want to write it down. The power of any idea is only ever in its implementation. Please write that down. Implementation is the key. And so what I'm going to do is encourage you to figure out how to implement. So here's what I want you to do. Now, some of you may not be able to do this, but we'll see how we go. It's all about taking action. And by the way, the lovely thing about action is it's only when you take action that you get traction. And it's only when you take action to get traction that, you know, someone said to me once, Paul, how do I get on the Oprah Winfrey show? You know, do you know Oprah? Can you get me on the Oprah Winfrey show? It's not a good question. The answer to the question is, how can I be so attractive so that Oprah's calling me? Do you get that? It's about action leading to traction, leading to attraction. So with that in mind, let me get you to take an action. Here's what I want you to do. Go and grab, I hope you've got one, your business card. Just go ahead. If you haven't got a business card, shame on you. No, because you haven't got your business yet. That's okay. So just get a square piece of paper and write your first and last name on it and your email address. Now, by the way, this isn't about me collecting email addresses. I just want you to do that, okay? So go ahead and do that. and then put that in a place where you can access it really, really quickly. Wherever it is, just put it somewhere where you can access it quickly, okay? So everybody's done that and taken the action. Very, very, very good. So remember that FTI, which stood for what? Failure to implement. What if we take those same letters and we change one a little bit? We add a line in it and say the goal of creating a dream business is to create an enterprise that inspires. Quick question. Turn to the person next to you, just 5 seconds, and tell them who it should inspire. Go. Some of you might say customers. I don't care how you say it. Just go. Just say them who it should inspire. Okay? Yell out the answer. Quickly, yell it out. The answer is you. The answer is it has to inspire you. How the hell can the business inspire you, inspire customers, unless it inspires you? How the hell can your team be inspired unless you're inspired, right? So I like to go from expire to inspire is perhaps the way to go. So how do we do that? And we're going to find out. One of the secrets is this guy. He's a friend of mine. Some of you would know him. He's up on TED.com. Everybody knows TED.com, right? Anybody not know TED.com? Anybody not know TED.com? Okay, if you do not know TED.com, write it down now. TED.com. Take that action, right? Because Simon's video, this is Simon Sinek. Simon's video is up to 12.5 million views right now. I've done 3 TED Talks, and I have to tell you that Simon's TED Talk, I think, is the best 18 minutes that you could ever see online. Who's seen it and actually grabs that? Or if you have not seen it, let me show you Simon Sinek's name. There you go. That's how you spell it. Simon Sinek. Now, most times when people show you a book, you make a note to go out and get the book. Don't get the book. Are there any bookstores left in Sydney? I mean, don't get the book. Just go to TED.com and in the search box, put Simon Sinek and sit back for 18 minutes and 2 seconds. That's all it takes. And just watch the most astounding video you will cast your eyes upon. Now, since Simon is a friend, he allows me to play with some of the stuff that he does and put my spin on it, but don't let that detract you from taking that action. So what does Simon say? Simon says this, and this is why this why is so important. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do what you do. Now, I don't expect you to jump up and say, oh my God, I'm so glad I came to this boot camp because that's the answer to the meaning of life. I don't expect you to do that, right? But what I would like to see, just tell me this, if as you read those words, not very many words, show me your hands if at some level you kind of go, you know what, that's probably true. Can I see your hands if you would, yes. And by the way, it's not just probably true, it is true. And so when you're setting up your website, well, no, let's not get to setting up your website. Let's go a stage further. People don't buy what you do. They buy what you believe in. Show me your hands if you get that at some level. So in other words, what that actually says is unless I know what you believe, then guess what I'm not going to do? People buy, did you get that? I'm not likely to buy from you. I'm not likely to be a part of your tribe, if you will. Now, what's so funny, and some of you got your tablets open and all that kind of stuff, what's so funny is if you already have a website, just go to the website. What do we see on every website? What we see is what you do as opposed to why. And as you'll see in a moment, Simon has some interesting information for us. By the way, how about this? The goal is not to do business with everybody. For some reason, it's shifted a bit. With everybody who might need your product or service. It's to do business with those who believe what you believe. Does that make sense for you? And particularly true for startups. What we're doing is we go, oh yes, the person will say, oh, can you do this? Can you do this? Oh yeah, just haven't thought of it yet. Yes, of course we can do that, you know. And we make all these promises and we break our backs doing something for people who actually don't believe what we believe. Or they say, yes, I can do it if you cut the price. Well, I'm sorry, that's not what we do. But if you believe what we believe, then you will be part of this thing. Does that make sense? Show me your hands again. Give me some, you're really great at doing some feedback. Exactly right. So with that in mind, let's do this. There you go. This belief thing would seem to be really, really important. So let's do this. Johan said, Paul, can you arrange some exercises today? Here we go. Here's what I want you to do now. Please notice the word 3 is not going to come out of my mouth in the next 5 minutes. I want you to find somebody to work with. So in other words, you form twos. Now that might mean that some of us need to move across tables. Go ahead, do it really quickly. Go ahead, just get in ones and twos. Go ahead, ones and twos. Go ahead, just touch them so they know it's you. Go ahead, move, 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 move. Move. Come on, move. We are action-oriented, so move. Okay, find somebody. Say, hello, I'm glad I'm sitting next to you, and all that kind of stuff. Actually, just do this. Look them in the eye, smile at them, and say, now I am unbelievably thrilled that I'm sitting next to you. Go. Now I'm unbelievably thrilled. Very good. Very good. Oh, now there's a threesome here. We need a twosome. We need a twosome. Okay. So, and now sort yourselves out. Someone be a number 1, someone be a number 2. Go ahead, sort that one out. No big thing. Number 1, number 2. Okay. Can I see the hands of the number 2s, please? Number 2s, show me your hands. Good choice. Can I see the hands of the number 1s, please? By the way, if you were here, did you see that, Stuart? What happens is this. I say, could I see the hands of number 2s, please? And people go, could I see the hands of number 1? Boom! So the number 1s, of course, are the natural born leaders because they say, you're number 2, okay? You know, not true. Now, let me ask you another question before we get to do this exercise. How many of us have kids? Can I see this? How many have kids? What a productive lot you are. That's amazing. So if you have kids, this has probably happened to you, right? So here's an ornament, a piece of furniture, whatever it is, and the kid comes up to you and says, why do we have that colored chair? Anybody knows what I'm talking about, particularly if they're under 6? Why do we have this chair? And you say, well, you know, because it sort of fits in with the decor, you know, it's kind of cool, it's got the crest in it or whatever. What does the under 6-year-old say at that point? Yeah, but why? And you say, blah, 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 blah. And then the kid says, why? And you go, blah, 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 blah. And the kid says, why? Until you get to this point where you say, oh, can I just ask you a question? And the little kid says, yes. Why did I have you? You know, that kind of thing. Now, what I want you to do, and we'll do it with the 2s today, okay? So the 2s are going to do this. Number 2, what you are going to do in this exercise is you are going to be that little kid. So irrespective, oh look, I'm thrilling me kidding. Irrespective of what the number 1 responds, doesn't matter what they say, you say to them, why? Now, please don't do it like a little kid, right? Because, you know, the person goes, and you go, why? Why? Because these are adults that you're playing with, and they're going to bop you if you do that, right? So don't do that. So the way to do this is to ask them the question. So again, it's that direction, right there, that direction. Number 2 to number 1 is going to ask the questions, and then you listen very carefully to what the number 1 says, okay? And by the way, if you're number 2, show me your hands, number 2. Show me your hands again. You are about to have, seriously, not a joke, a profound impact on the life of the number 1. Seriously, you okay with that? It's like sitting in the emergency row, you can change seats, you know, that sort of thing, all right? So you really, really are. Now, first question is, what are you going to ask the number 1? Well, I used to say things like, you know, well, you ask them, why do you get up in the morning? And people would say, to have a pee. So that kind of doesn't get you anywhere. So normally what I would say is, okay, so why do you do what you do? But I've changed it back because I realized that